Let's bring in my colleague, our political editor, Andrew Clennell, and the Morrison secret ministry saga into another day.
Well, it's been a big week, hasn't it, Kieran? And the Scott Morrison multiple ministers scandal goes on, with Mr Morrison forced to ring his former Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews to apologise after Sky News revealed that while the former PM had apologised to Josh Frydenberg and Matthias Cormann concerning revelations he secretly gave himself the power to take on their portfolios, he had not apologised to Andrews.
Has Scott Morrison called you to apologise?
No, but look, I understand that he's made a broad apology to his colleagues, and I'm entirely fine with that. So it's not an issue with me.
Well, that didn't last long. Opposition leader Peter Dutton said on Sydney radio this morning, following that Andrews interview, that Morrison should apologise to the frontbencher.
Most of it's out there now. People are making their judgments, and obviously the Prime Minister's taken the political opportunity. He sounded more like an opposition leader than a Prime Minister in the last couple of days. I mean, borderline hysterical, but my colleagues are rightly angry and aggrieved, and I understand that. And Karen's expressed that publicly and again today, and I understand their frustration. And Scott has made the wrong call. He's apologised for it, and if he hasn't spoken to Karen, then I believe he should.
So mid-morning, the Morrison call came. One of the most bizarre things about this grab for power by Scott Morrison is that it was Christian Porter as Attorney-General who told Morrison he could swear himself into health by administrative instrument without some sort of gazettal or public announcement in March 2020. Then a year later, in April 2021, shortly after Porter was engulfed in scandal and was demoted to Industry, Science and Technology, Morrison took over his portfolio using the same instrument without telling Porter. Morrison claims to have made just one decision when he took over Industry, Energy, Science and Resources, and that was knocking back the PEP 11 gas project. Did you make a decision as Industry Minister?
I made a decision in industry in the national interest.
There's still questions around the timing of the appointment of Morrison to oversee Treasury and Home Affairs. On May 5th, 2021, Karen Andrews gave an ABC interview where she was sympathetic to the prospect of a possible release of the Biloela family into community detention on Christmas Island. Just one day later, May 6, 2021, Scott Morrison had himself sworn in as Home Affairs Minister. Andrews said it probably was not related to this when she spoke to Peter Stefanovic this morning, but couldn't rule it out.
On the 5th of May last year, Karen, you gave an interview in which you said the Biloela family may soon be released into community detention on Christmas Island. The very next day, Morrison was secretly sworn into your portfolio. Is there a link between the two?
Look, not as far as I'm aware, and I think that we need to look at who ultimately had responsibility for that, and that sat with the Immigration Minister.
Karen Andrews also indicated she and Scott Morrison had had a few blues in her time as a minister.
What were the robust discussions that you had with him about?
Oh, well, they could have been over a range of things. We had some fairly robust discussions about manufacturing at the days that I was putting together the manufacturing a strategy. I wanted more money than I ultimately got.
Scott Morrison just could not explain yesterday why he moved in 2021 on Home Affairs and Treasury. You're just not explaining to us. Like, someone must have come to you and said, look, maybe we should chuck Treasurer in there. Or you must have gone to someone and said, look, you know what, we should have put Treasury in Home Affairs. Let's do it. Can you take us through that process?
That's exactly how it happened.
You just decided in May 2021.
In May of 2021, there were two very significant things taking place in addition to managing the pandemic. And in that case, that was the issue of getting the vaccine program after some initial difficulties. We were also putting the budget together for that year. And in addition to that, I was in the process of negotiating the AUKUS arrangement.
So the motivations are still a bit of a mystery. The former PM also just would not come at whether Governor-General David Hurley had suggested to him that he announced publicly he was being sworn into these 5 more portfolios.
Mr Morrison, we have a right to know whether he said to you, shouldn't we make this public? Can you at least tell us that? You've been secret about this whole business.
Oh, you were asking me to go into conversations between me and the Governor-General, which I'm not going to do. So can we assume
he did?
No,
he did question you.
No, you can't assume anything,
well,
Andrew.
Easy to deny
and I'm not going to. Well, I'm not going to be verballed, Andrew, or bullied in this press conference by you trying to put words in my mouth.
Was he
respecting a long-standing principle and convention that the Governor-General and the Prime Minister have many conversations. The Governor-General took the advice of the day from the government and acted accordingly and ensured. That is not, Andrew, that is not something that any former Prime Minister would responsibly answer in divulging conversations with the Governor-General, and you can draw no conclusion from that.
So after this press conference, the Governor-General, David Hurley, put out a statement last night saying that the Governor-General had no reason to believe that appointments would not be communicated by the then PM. But surely once the moves were not announced in 2020, the GG had a reason to believe the 2021 moves would not be announced. There were 4 separate dates these changes occurred. Anyway, we await the legal advice on this to be released by the PM on Monday, after which perhaps we can expect a broader inquiry into the scandal. And we know we'll be hearing from Anthony Albanese again soon from the Torres Strait, although I imagine his focus up there will be selling the voice, Kieran.